Hello, I have returned, and today we are in the War Memorial Museum. This place is a very meaningful place to me. I first came here when I was 5, and at that time I was very interested in history because I had read a book about the great King Gwanggaeto. So my parents took me here, and I was very seriously looking at the old artifacts and listening very carefully to my mom and dad's explanations. And now I will tell you about the Korean Wars. Okay, here our ancestors usually fought in castles. And there were various types of castles, such as 평지성, castles built on plains, and 산성, castles built on mountains, and 석성, castles made of stones, and 전축성, castles made of bricks, and 토성, castles made of soil. And in Goguryeo times, they built many castles. In Goguryeo times, they built 평지성, castles built on plains, and castles built on mountains in pairs, so that they could live in the plain castles in the ordinary times, and then evacuate to the mountain castles and fight there when the enemies come, because the mountains was very steep, so that the enemies couldn't take them, so that the Goguryeo people could hold them off until the reinforcements came. Perhaps the most well-known castle in Goguryeo is the Udong Castle. The Udong Castle was placed in Goguryeo's northwest border, so it was a castle when China always have to cross whenever they attacked Goguryeo. Here, the Su dynasty in China attacked with 3 million soldiers. The 3 million soldiers of Su attacked the Udong Castle. So the people in Udong Castle and all the soldiers fought to death for 2 months and finally defeated them. This was one of the greatest battles in human history. And if you look at this screen is the screen of the Sarsu battle. Back to the Udong Castle, the 3 million soldiers of Su dynasty were still being held up. So the Su dynasty's emperor got really frustrated, so that he sent 300,000 men directly towards Goguryeo's capital. And fortunately, the general of Goguryeo, who was leading the defense of the capital, called General Uljimundeok, was very wise. He made the Su army arrogant by pretending to lose 7 times and lured them to a river called Sarsu. There, Goguryeo had secretly built a dam there, so that when the Su army thought that the water was shallow and began to cross, they blew up the dam and swept them all away. And 2,700 men lived among the 300,000 men of Su. It was the greatest victory in the world, in my opinion, and in the other historians' opinion. Okay, now let's move on to the next place. This is the prehistoric age. Last time at the National Museum of History, I've told you that the prehistoric people began to use stone tools and have evolved slowly. So if you want to look at the prehistoric age, please watch the last time video at the National Museum of History. And now let's move on to the Gojoseon. The Gojoseon was the first nation ever to have been founded by our race. And at that time, at the Eastern Asia, there were 2 big countries, Gojoseon and the Han Dynasty of China. Since there were the 2 big countries, they often fought, and Gojoseon always defended their country well. But finally, the Han Dynasty was very strong, so finally rounded up Gojoseon capital called Udong Castle. The Gojoseon had the strongest defense system there, so that the Han Dynasty could not bring down the Udong Castle and Gojoseon easily. But the Gojoseon split into two groups. The group saying that we should keep fighting, and the group saying that we should surrender. They argued and fought, and the latter betrayed us and brought down Gojoseon. I think it is a great pity that the first nation to have been founded by our race was fallen down, none other by the same our race's hand. Now, let's move on to Goguryeo. Goguryeo was perhaps the most strongest country established in our race, in our peninsula. If you look here, you can see wall paintings drawn in Goguryeo. They were usually drawn in tombs because they believed after death they began a new life. And if you look here, you can see the Goguryeo horse riding warrior. The Goguryeo was placed on the northern part so that they were very good in horse riding, so that the horse riding warriors helped Goguryeo expand the large territory. And this is the monument of the great King Gwanggaeto. The King Gwanggaeto's son, Jangsu, had made this monument and engraved his accomplishments here. And this is the catapult. In Europe, it was used in the Middle Age, but with advanced skill, we invented it and used it in the Goguryeo times. And if you look here, this is a kind of an arrow. It's called hyoshi, and it makes sound. If you see at its front end, there is a hole. When you shoot it, the wind goes into the hole and makes a sound. It was used as the sign for the battle or the hunt to begin. I think this is very scientific skills. And I told you right outside that the Sioux of China and the Goguryeo battled, and we had the victory in Sarsu. But next, a newcomer in China called the Tang attacked us. They were very strong, so many castles, including the Udong Castle, which stopped the 3 million soldiers of Sioux, was taken. And there were only a few castles left in Goguryeo's northwest border. But the next, Tang went to the Anxi Castle. It was a small castle made of soil. There, the lord of the castle, called Yang Manchun, and the soldiers of Goguryeo, and even the common people, united as one and fought against the Tang army. So they attacked, and they resisted, and finally defeated all of them. In this episode, I learned that even the smallest together can defeat the biggest. It's just like the episode of David and Goliath. And now, let's move on to Baekje, the next country. Baekje is the nation which had the most masterpieces, such as the Great Gilt Bronze Incense Burner of Baekje and the 7-branched bronze sword. The Great Gilt Bronze Incense Burner, we saw it last time. The phoenix on the lid represents the sky, and the base, the mountains and all these mountains and animals represents paradise. And the dragon on the bottom represents the sea. So it represents harmony altogether. And this sword is the 7-branched sword. We made it and gave it to Japan. And there's writing on it, such like, we give this to the Japan king. Use it well at the future. Something like that was written on it. And this this is now a replica, but the real one is in Japan, the Isonokami Palace, because we gave it to them. And this sword is one of the oldest relic that shows the relationship between us and the Japan. And this weapon is called the unje. It is a ladder that you can attack the castle. You can go up the ladder and attack the castle, and you can go over the castle and attack them. And inside here, the soldiers hid to protect themselves before they went up the ladder. And now, I think the most epic battle in Baekje is the Hwangsanbor battle. The Hwangsanbor battle is Baekje's last battle. And first, the 50,000 men of Silla attacked Baekje with the skilled general Kim Yushin attacked Baekje with 50,000 men. But 5,000 men of Gebek matched them. Gebek was one of the most skilled and the most valiant general at that time, so they could defeat the 10 times larger Silla army 4 times. But they finally lost under the sacrifice of Silla's Parang, which you will see later. So Baekje fell. Now let's move on to Silla. Silla was the nation that unified the 3 countries, Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla. The reason that Silla could unite the 3 kingdoms was perhaps this Hwarang. This Hwarang was an elite group of young noblemen. They learned horse riding, archery, some sort of fighting. So this little monument here is called the Imshin Seogi Monument. The letters engraved here is the thing of the 2 Hwarangs, each other trusting their friends. There are 5 laws, 5 rules in the Hwarang. First, loyalty to the country. Second, respect and love for parents. Third, trust among friends. Fourth, never retreat in battle. And fifth, never kill anything without reason. Within those rules, the Hwarang became the base of unifying the 3 kingdoms. And Silla afterwards, using the skill of diplomacy, allied with Tang and unified the 3 kingdoms. But it turned out that Tang wanted the whole Korean peninsula for themselves. So we had to fight with Tang again. The most epic battle in the Silla and Tang fighting is perhaps the Mensosong battle. At Mensosong, Tang had 20,000 men. 200,000 men, and Silla sent 40,000 men to recapture that castle. First, Tang's horse-riding warriors charged at the Silla warriors, but the Silla had long spears to stop them from coming near. And then Silla fired the rocks, huge rocks, so that they could destroy them all. So after this battle, we could drive out the Tang back to their homeland. And finally, peace has come at last. Now, let's move on to a country called Balhae.